What is up, CineNerds?
Yo, I am JP.
And I'm Ryan.
I did the hey yo thing again. I
The
did
hey
that.
yo.
I did that in a previous episode.
Hey yo. Awesome.
So before we get started, CineNerdsPodcast.com. Check it out. Have all the links there. Shop there. All the new episodes are there. Yeah, CineNerdsPodcast.com.
Misty, Brandy, Megan, Jeremy, whoever else comes in and visits us all the time. Thank you for sharing and spreading the word out there. Everyone else, as you guys tune into our weekly podcast as it premieres on YouTube, please give a little share and throw it out there and let people know what we're doing and help us spread the word a little bit. We'd appreciate it.
And I've been noticing, like in our analytics on Podbean for audio listeners, we've had a lot of listeners from overseas.
Really?
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of listeners from overseas. We've had listeners in Japan, Australia. We've had quite a bit in Ukraine and Russia.
That's a
actually.
great segue into the topic in the movie we're about to cover. Because all of you people that are overseas giving us a listen, first of all, thank you. But secondly, I chose Idiocracy today. So we're going to be covering the movie Idiocracy. So
Yeah. So, initial watch. I guess I'll start. I've actually only seen this movie a couple times. Watched it when it first came out and thought it was pretty fucking hilarious. And then I watched it, I don't know, maybe a handful of years after that, and hated it. Did not like it the second time watch, and cannot recall actually watching this film again until this watch. And we'll get into it. I enjoyed it a lot more this time than I did the second watch.
I think we watched the wrong film. I watched a very, very scary documentary on current state of modern day society, and I was very, very, very concerned for everyone.
I think that's why I enjoyed it a little bit this time.
There is too much about this movie that is hitting on point to current day society. I just heard a whole interview too with Mike Judge where he's talking about, he's like, I can't really watch the movie without having negative thoughts because of what he went through in the process of getting this movie to the finish line. But some of the things that he was talking about was like the fact that if he had made this nowadays, he would implement cell phones and put social media in there, because when this came out, none of that was like a really big issue. But it still applies to the dumbing down of society, which is what this thing's all about.
Well, there kind of was, and I actually made note of it. There's a not social media, but the television. When you see the main guy that's from the future that they're with, I can never remember.
Frito.
Yeah.
Dax.
Yeah. He's in his recliner watching TV whenever he busts in and comes out of his little time capsule. And if you look at the program he's watching, it's almost like TikTok. It is very similar to TikTok.
Yeah, I can see that. And you know what was funny is it was all about, it was a show about people getting hit in the balls over and over.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's the stupidity we watch. And when everyone doom scrolls and goes through these things, that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
So,
and I read a little trivia fact that he decided to make this film and write this film. Did you read this?
let me hear what you're saying first.
When Mike Judd finally had decided to make this film and write this film, he wrote it because he was at Disneyland, and two women got into a fight with their kids in strollers, because I can't remember what context he said it happened, like cut line, or they wanted something the other one wanted, and they just got into a huge fight.
I'm envisioning each lady holding a toddler by the ankle, sword fighting with them. That's all I'm saying.
Swinging around like nunchucks. And so
instead of whoa, it's wah.
He saw how ridiculous and stupid these people were, and decided, oh man, what would happen if society turned into this in the future?
yeah. I forgot the full name of President Camacho, but his one before Camacho, it's like President so and so Mountain Dew Camacho. Like that's how bad it is. And the White House has been just made into a mockery, kind of like current day. There's multiple aspects. All right, let's rewind. Let's get into the full scope of this.
Yeah.
So Corporal Joe, played by Luke Wilson, he essentially is the most average human being ever. Him alongside with Rita, who is a prostitute, or as they openly say freely in this movie, whore. They both are selected to do basically a cryo thing for a year, but they're told just a year. In that time, the person who was overseeing the operation, they were going to be frozen for that year. He gets arrested because he started a prostitution ring
With her pimp.
with her pimp. What was his name? Oh my god. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. I forgot the pimp's name.
I don't even have it in my notes here either.
It was like Cray something. Oh, I don't know. I forgot. Regardless, yeah, he gets locked up for the prostitution ring. They get forgotten about. At some point during the 500 years they're asleep, because it's 500 years when they from when they go to sleep to when they wake up. At some point the building's bulldozed, demolished, and the future is full of garbage, because as society tends to dumb down, there's now mountains of garbage, and these pods and the rubble, all that is in the garbage. And there's an avalanche, a garbage avalanche, and that's how Joe and Rita's pods slide down the mountain and come to wake up. So it's kind of interesting the way that it comes into, because that's the scene where, you know, Joe wakes up, he comes out of the pod, and that's where you see Frito watching that show that we're talking about.
I am trying to find the pimp's name, and I cannot, because it's something ridiculous.
It is something. It's like, but I swear it's like Cray something. But we'll figure that out. But what gets crazy is, like, if any of you have seen Wayne's World is like probably one of the funnier movies that makes fun of product placement and advertising in movies and film and whatever. And I think this satire, it definitely overdoes it with that, but to a awesome degree.
I read
Starbucks.
That the studio did not actually want to release this film.
No, I heard that too. Yeah.
Because of all the product placement of, like, making fun of all these big companies.
You get special coffee and special items and shots at Starbucks now because it's become a whorehouse. So that was hilarious. Oh, and let's not forget Carl's. Carl's Jr. is basically Children's Family Services now, and they can take your kids.
Well, and Fuddruckers is butt fuckers or something like that.
And they watch the progression of that change over the years, and he finally just becomes butt fuckers. And Luke Wilson, he's like, what? Like, what's going on? It was quite comedic.
I cannot find his name. Like, it's driving me nuts. He's not showing up in the cast. So, but the pimp's name is something ridiculous.
That wasn't his name. Something ridiculous.
Yeah.
His name. I mean, it could have.
It could have been.
That it sounds. Upgrade.
Upgrade,
but it's spelled UPGRAYEDD. Upgrade. So yeah, that's quite interesting.
I knew it was something really simple, but
the 2 Ds are for a double dose of his pimping. Oh boy.
Let me get back to my notes, because first thing about this movie pissed me off. Going ahead and throwing this out here at the beginning of the movie, once they freeze them, and it kind of starts talking, and it starts going through the family trees and all this. I wrote, hate the redneck family tree stereotype.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
He calls McDonald's McDonald's still. We established this earlier, so McDonald's, guys. Yeah, no, I'm sorry that your people were offended. To that point, let's dig into that a little bit. So this is one of those movies that is not politically correct. It's got Mel Brooks elements where it's poking fun at all the things that shouldn't be made fun of. But it goes hand in hand with the dumbing down of society, I feel. So like Luke Wilson starts talking, and their language by this point, 500 years down the road, is a combo of hillbilly and what? What was the other?
It's like
Valley Girl.
Valley Girl, hillbilly, and like gangster. It's
so when he starts talking and he's got correct English, and
they make fun of him because they think he's being pompous.
No, they say, "What are you, a fag? Why do you talk like that?" And they say "fag" over and over. And I just had this conversation with my younger son and my gay 21-year-old son. The 21-year-old, he thinks that because he's gay, he can say the word fag and call people fag. I'm like, that's not quite how that works. And I had to explain to the younger one that we don't do that, and you're not gay, so don't do that. But there's those people in our lives that are immature that still use the words, say that's gay or fag and this and that. And I think that was kind of where they're alluding to with that and saying, we shouldn't be saying these things, but people use those words like this.
And I'm guilty.
I mean, let's be honest.
We grew up in the time where we said that word as calling, kind of like South Park made fun of. And I don't know, you don't really watch South Park, but South Park did a whole episode about how the kids would use the word. And
you know what? I did see a reel of that exact scene.
But they use it. The parents think they're making fun of gay people, but they're not. They're calling annoying Harley driving assholes fags because that's what they think fags are. And
Cartman says it back to the congressman. He goes, well, sir. He goes, well, I'm gay. Do you think I'm a fag? And he goes, well, sir, do you drive an annoying Harley down the road? He's like, well, no. Then you're not a fag. You're just gay.
So for me, growing up as a 90s kid, I used the word a lot, but I never used it to describe a homosexual gay person. I used it to describe somebody who annoyed me. And to me, that's the meaning of that word. That word has nothing to do with homosexual or gay. Now, it's been used as that, and it's been used as that word has been changed. The meaning of that word has meant through the centuries. So, for me, that's what the word has always meant. I've never used that word in that type of setting.
That's because we're evolved, JP.
I guess.
This movie's about the de-evolution.
I guess
de-evolution of our society.
I think we can take that word back, though.
I'm good. I'm good. Because I've gotten to a point where I'm like, I try and make sure that I'm always using the correct words for people's feelings and be respectful of them. But I'm also the person who, instead of dealing with pronouns, because I'm not a big pronoun guy, I just like to know somebody's name and say their name. So that's.
I did have a someone that had identified as different pronouns, and me being again a child of the 90s, it's really hard. And it's not that I don't accept them for their pronouns, but it's hard for my mind to adjust to say he or she and I would get mixed up. So now I've kind of tried to teach myself to do what you do. I don't say, well, go ask him or go ask her. I will say, go ask
Frank, Sarah,
John Smith,
whatever.
Because I find it keeps me out of trouble.
I don't do it just for the trouble. I think that it just also is just respect, right?
Well, yeah, and that's why I try to use it, because it's a respect thing, because my mind isn't triggered because I grew up in a different world to what people, and you did too, from what people are now. And the kids now, they can change their way of thinking easier than what I have spent 40 years thinking this way. That it's easier for me to be respectful to them, to say their name versus what they identify as, because it's not that I don't see them as he or she or whatever they want. it's just easier for me to be respectful to them, because I don't want to slip up and fuck it up.
That's some idiocracy right there.
Ugh.
Bringing us full circle. This movie does not disappoint, though, like as far as the digs at how stupid we have the potential to become. From all right, for instance, the big main theme of this movie, the big thing is we've basically 500 years down the road, the way the movie pans out, we have gotten so stupid that they're trying to water crops with what is the energy drink, which we look at as Gatorade, but it's called Brondo. The Brondo Corporation has taken over everything, and the Brondo, it's a green Gatorade, essentially. They're using this to water the crops even. It's in the water fountains. It's everywhere.
Because it has electrolytes.
It has electrolytes, yes. And Luke Wilson's like, I'm not anything crazy with this, and I'm just throwing this out there, but you might want to try water. And they're like, you mean the stuff in the toilets? Like, that's all they keep saying. So once the water gets switched out, lots of fun happens, and it shows even further for me the stupidity of society, because it is what happens after that is quite real. But we'll loop back to that.
Back towards the beginning of the movie at the trash heap. Did you get Grinch vibes?
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
The trash heap actually is arched like the mountain
that
in the
he
Grinch.
gets stuck up on top of the sleigh.
And even the dump truck driving away looks like the sleigh from the Grinch. Like, I pointed that out in my notes. I was just like, that really looks like the fucking Grinch.
I'm so concerned about society on so many levels after watching this movie again. This is one of those movies that, like Half Baked that we covered before, I had watched it once, threw it back in for this purpose. I really wanted to dig into this one. Mm-hmm. But like, to think that we could get so stupid that we can't figure out what to do with our garbage, or like, it's mind-boggling. And I say that one because there's already geniuses out there, and I mean this with all respect possible. There's already geniuses out there who are taking our trash, our old items, and they're compressing it and reutilizing it as plastic bricks for building houses and things like that. Like, there's ways to, make use of our garbage and our waste that are not completely destroying the planet.
I mean, I think we are one or two generations away from this if we keep going the way we're going. Though I feel like it's scary.
We're 6 years away from death because the meteor is supposed to hit in 2032. It's only a 1% chance, but I'll take the 1%.
I go to McDonald's a lot for my wife, and she always, this is what she orders. She orders a double cheeseburger, plain. Add Big Mac sauce.
Okay.
So, logically, if you order a cheeseburger, plain, what would that be? What would be on that cheeseburger?
Cheeseburger bun.
Exactly. So, the people at McDonald's,
McDonald's,
I have to tell them, a cheeseburger, plain, with only cheese and Big Mac sauce. Because if I do not tell them to put the cheese on it, they will not put cheese on that cheeseburger.
Yeah, I will say to them, like, cheese. I'll say exactly what I just said to you. Cheese, meat, bun, that's it. Nothing else.
They literally argue it, but you said you wanted it plain. Plain's no cheese. Well, no, I ordered a cheeseburger, plain. If I wanted a hamburger, I would have ordered a hamburger plain, So plain means none of the condiments or anything else, but it's a cheeseburger. You want the cheese and meat and bread.
If you ever want to see how far our society has gone down the tube, and God damn it.
Go to any fast food restaurant.
No. This one's way worse. Grown men our age, and you know this from your other job, grown men our age that wait in line for Pokemon cards and then rush through the doors when the doors open so fast they're shoving over kids. that's where and then I combine that with I went to the APL the other day. It's our shelter for animals and whatnot, and the amount of animals that are just like people dump like and seeing these animals in their eyes and them just want to be loved. It helps me lose faith, not helps me, but it makes me lose faith quickly in humanity. Um, so yeah, this movie is scary on multiple fronts. But we'll get back to the topic here. It stays
Yeah,
streamlined.
yeah. I just feel like society of today is so much like how they are in this movie. Just the movie is more extreme, but not by much.
No,
I mean,
it's not. I mean, you look at some especially recent events with you, Congress getting together, and even the president's address. Like these things, the way that it was conducted, the arguing, the shouting, the running back and forth. There's not much that is different from this Congress structure in this movie, or whatever they call whatever that court is, or whatever they have
Yeah,
it 500 years in the future. But they're basically arguing, swearing. President Mountain Dew Camacho is like saying swear words every other word. It's just it's very, very insane. Um, the progress too that you see where when Joe, first of all, we got to talk about Joe being made the smartest man.
yeah. Average Joe.
Average Joe is literally he for whatever reason I forgot why they took him to prison. Why they take him to prison?
Because he went to St. God's Hospital. That is in my notes. The hospital is called St. God's Hospital. And he goes to the hospital to figure out what's going on, and because he thinks something's happened to his head or something. And he goes into this hospital, and they basically stick things in his orifice and come up with a conclusion of what's wrong with him. And the doctor that comes and talks to him is a complete burnout and doesn't even.
It's what's his face? It's Jason or not?
Justin Long.
Justin Long. Yeah.
It's just actually he's just a complete burnout, and he's just sitting there like, yeah, and doesn't even answer anything, and then gives him like a bill for like $1 million or something like
that. He's not
that.
registered. He doesn't have a barcode.
And so that's why they arrest him. He don't have a barcode, and he didn't pay his hospital bill, and for being a dick was also, if you see the wanted posters, it says for being a dick. And,
I did not catch that.
Yeah. So, and then they capture him, and one of my next notes is when they take him to trial, Joe's trial feels like people debating today.
Oh yeah, that's what we were just saying. That's the way they argue back and forth. They act like children, and they're like talking about. We have gotten so like I'll just say this. I'll just to me, and hear me out. Politics doesn't need to be right and left. It needs to be about human decency and taking care of people. And we can't figure that out. These people are fucking lost.
Yeah.
Like they are so fucking far from the queue. Like I don't even know what to say anymore at some of this. Like if there is definitely economy issues. There's that tariff wars, all that shit going on. But like the plays that are being made right now, and the fact that Elon Musk, who I have said in the last year that I think he is an android sent here to take over the world. I've said that at some point in our podcast. I don't know where, but I did. And I still stand by it. And we have given him so much government control. And to further that too, because it factors into this movie. This is totally real. I saw recently, it's a AI bot that has hundreds of our phone screens when we doom scroll on them, hundreds of them on one screen, and it is literally calculating and telling what feeds and what things to send to us so that we can be programmed. And I was blown away. I did not even know that was a thing. So when I'm doom scrolling now, I'm like, are they trying to brainwash me?
Oh, always. Always trying to brainwash us.
It's fucking insane.
It's product placement. It's brainwashing. It's the dumbing down of America.
Divisive tactics, all those things. So not becoming a conspiracy nerd or turning this into politics, but it's just scary, the reflection of this movie to modern day and how real it is. Now, here's a big one. When Mike Judge made this movie, they had gotten their effects cut. The special effects were cut on this.
This is a good trivia fact.
The special effects were cut, and they needed to figure out ways to cut corners. So one of the things was a little startup company by the name of Crocs was coming into play. And they're like, these are cheap shoes. You're stupid. These aren't going to catch on, whatever. And so they put them in the movie as what the society wears in the future. And the sad thing is they caught on. They were supposed to be a joke. They were put in there because they were stupid.
Mike Judge, I read a interview with him a long time ago, and he said that he had those put it whenever they sent them to him. He's like, those will never catch on. Those are the ugliest shoes ever. Nobody's ever going to wear those. Put those in the movie, and then here we are.
Now, I have a pair of slides that are similar to Crocs, but they're Adidas. They're not Crocs. I will never wear Crocs myself. It just won't happen.
I don't have Crocs, but I do have cat paw slippers.
Yeah. We can't. I guess we can't talk that much, but it's still concerning that we've gotten that lazy. Like, look at modern day society. It used to be like dress for the job you want, dress for success, get up and show that you care when you go out, that type thing. And now we're all wearing gray sweatpants and slippers everywhere. Like,
did you notice the amount of feet videos in this movie?
no, why did you?
Because it's in it. It is in the movie. Kind of like I noticed the TV screen with the guy getting kicked in the balls and stuff. Well, if you watch like a lot of the video stuff, it's on screens like throughout the fucking film. There's fucking random fucking feet videos. And they talk about fetishes and stuff too.
I am convinced at this juncture that my co-host has a foot fetish now, because
I do not. I actually get creeped out by feet.
I did not even like.
That's why I noticed it, because I can't stand. I get creeped out by them, and so when I started seeing random feet videos on random TVs, and I was like,
my wife's gonna hate that I'm telling this story, but she's also probably gonna laugh if she hears this. So. I'm so bad about feet. By the way, my wife has adorable feet. But I'm so bad about feet that there was a friend of mine. She was just, anyways, there was, for some reason, her feet were like around my face right here. Oh, no details, just they were here. And I happened to see her feet, and I got up and left completely. Like, I left because it was,
that's fair.
Oh, it was so bad. Sorry. Traumatizing moment. Another TMI moment for Ryan. Chalk him up. Foot fetish JP.
No. I would have got up and left too. Ran. Outside of that, one thing that I noticed and I thought was beautifully done in this film.
You're talking about the monster truck fight?
Oh no, that's in my notes too. That's in my notes too.
If you ever, or if you're a director is aspiring to do something wonderful in this world, and you try and make your film, and you're like, I don't know if it's gonna get delivered. Just add monster trucks. It's all good then.
The monster trucks are the shit, but we'll get to that. That's at the end. The background paintings, lithographs for the film, because if you look, like a lot of the background animation, it's not like CGI. It's actually it was old school. Like they used to do like the actually paintings for the backdrops and stuff. And the backdrops in this film are when they are like wide shots and you see everything in the background are fucking beautiful.
That was supposed to be on silent.
It's not. But they're fucking beautiful.
So are you saying that those were painted backdrops?
Oh yeah,
all of them?
Not all of them, but there were a bunch in this film. And when you see them, they are fucking beautiful. Like old Disney films, and like how they had the painted backdrops and stuff.
What's the one you just got a copy of? Song of the South.
Song of the South.
That had beautiful painted backdrops.
Yeah. That one has some in it too. So Idiocracy has some of these in there,
and both have racism too.
They do. But seriously, that was one thing that I saw, because you don't see that often, especially in today's movies, and I love seeing backdrops like that.
I really appreciated Wizard of Oz moments for that. That was something I really always thought was stunning, especially when they added the digital component to Wizard of Oz to make it all buff up. It just made that artwork pop that was in the back.
Yeah.
So
there was multiple shots, wide shots, where they did that in Idiocracy. And when I saw them, I was like, yeah, okay, somebody put some time into those shots. And I think in today's world, it's like, well, let's CGI everything. Let's do this. Let's do that. And to see something like that, and CGI wasn't there when this movie was done, but they were doing CGI stuff like
just
that.
not to the degree it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to see actual backdrops like those in this film was just it was a really cool treat for me.
Rita. She was interesting. First of all, Maya Rudolph is awesome on Saturday Night Live. I do think very highly of her for her contribution to Saturday Night Live, because when a lot of the cast that was amazing during peak years fell off, she was one of the ones that I felt still stayed and she can hit the notes, and she needs to sing for characters. She can always do the things. And in this character, it was definitely not ideal, but I love that as her and Joe's relationship is growing, that he's convinced the whole time she's just an artist.
Well, she tells him, like,
Right.
he asks what she does for a living, and she says, "I'm a painter," and she doesn't want to tell him that she's a prostitute. And so through the whole movie, she's saying, "My boyfriend upgrade." Well, maybe whenever everything's settled, you can paint, and it's so great that you do what you want. You get to do what you want as a job, and so yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very funny, and he's so naive and average to to believe it all.
I love when she first gets to the future. You find her, and she's met this guy.
That's what she gets arrested for.
And that's what she gets arrested for. She meets this guy. She goes back to her prostituting ways. However, she's not actually sleeping with the guy. She's charging him by the hour to have sex with him, but she keeps saying, "We'll do it tomorrow. Bring me more money. We'll do it tomorrow." So, and tomorrow never comes for that guy. He just keeps giving her money.
And back to the names that people are called in the future. She is constantly referred to as a whore because of that. But the charge when they arrest her isn't that she was doing prostitution. It was that she was a whore who didn't put out.
She didn't sleep with the guy because she kept putting him off.
I was like, what is going? It's so. There's so many levels. Like, I could probably watch this movie a few more times and come out with new levels of stupidity every time because of how much it parodies what's happening today. Utter insanity. Mike Judge, I did not know, and this explains a little bit too about the undertones of the movie too, but Silicon Valley, I didn't know that he was part of that. Beavis and Butthead, Office Space. So this humor kind of lines up to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I really would like to see. He even said in an interview, I think it's with Joe Rogan. Sorry to bring the name. I know some people don't like Rogan, but he even brought up in an interview with Rogan that he would love a chance to redo it today and apply some of the elements like social media, phones, things like that. And I think it would be not too far fetched from where they're at right now with Idiocracy as it is, but it would definitely be an interesting twist.
Yeah, I think I actually heard that someplace, or maybe you was telling me that maybe I read it or saw it someplace.
Yeah, no, I just saw it recently. I was in a little snippet of the Joe Rogan show, and he was on it, and I didn't know he went on it. And Joe Rogan was praising his movie and was also stating that he felt the same way we did as far as it being too relevant to the point of very scary scenario. But yeah, so Carl's Jr. thing, taking away kids. Oh, let's talk about the so one of the whole premises of this is a scary reality also for us. And they focus on this couple that's stupid and a couple that is responsible and intelligent. And this responsible couple that's intelligent, they keep saying, we want to wait till the time's right. We want to make sure that, when we have a kid, we're ready and we can do it. And it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And they wait.
This goes back to the redneck family tree.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's the redneck family tree that just keeps spiraling and growing out of control because they're just sleeping with, just making babies left to right. But the couple that they waited too long and they get old, and so you see intelligence falling off and you see the less intelligent people making babies and procreating. I'm like, it might be a little too real too.
Yeah, like I think what ended up happening was the husband of the intelligent family couple, he couldn't have kids.
When they got to a certain point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they never had kids. And then she had eggs frozen and with hopes of one day still, but they were older and he was gone. They were split up or he died or
He
something.
died,
Yeah,
yeah.
I couldn't remember. But then you see the redneck family tree, which I talked about at the very beginning of the episode, where there's like hundreds of kids
Yeah.
and grandkids. And
Yeah, it was this. So that kind of is what alludes to. They give you the buildup of why society has gotten to the point that it got to. But it's really bad. Like these people are like, there's no basic math. There's no, like people are, they can barely read. I think there's a scene where somebody's staring at a word because they're trying to read something more than they would have normally, and one of the other people goes, "Why are you trying to read that word?" Just when that was said alone, I was like, "Fuck."
well, and they give when he's going into prison, and I think you were getting ready to talk about this a few minutes ago. They give him a intelligence test,
Yeah.
and the questions are like super. It's like, what is 2 plus 2? You know, or if you have 2 buckets of water and you fill them up, how many buckets of water do you have? It's stupid questions like this, and that's how they find out that he's the most intelligent person in the world.
Yeah, it was not the best, and then he gets his whole Flavor Flav gold disc, and everything becomes part of the congressional. What's the title they give him? Do you remember that?
It's Secretary of.
But it's not. It's not. It's not. Oh, what the fuck is Secretary of? I don't know.
I
All
can't
I know is they
remember
put
now.
him. They basically put him in charge of trying to fix the world's problems because Terry Crews, playing President Camacho, wants to look good, and he wants this guy to be the guy who does it. So this leads us into basically where he puts him in charge of trying to correct everything. We're back to talking about the Brondo, which is the Gatorade, the electrolytes drink that everyone drinks at the water fountains. They're trying to do the crops with. It doesn't happen as quick as they'd like. Society, basically stocks drop.
People get out of work because they're not using the Brano or whatever it's called to water the crops now. So people are out of work.
And they start basically trying to riot, loot, go after and kill Joe. All these things start happening. So the president, he just is reactive and he says, "Okay, well, it's all your fault. You're guilty," and essentially they sentence him to death. They
Got to
bring
go
him
to the Coliseum.
to the Coliseum.
Best scene in the movie. And I actually wrote, because there's multiple monster trucks, wrote down my favorite. Lawnmower monster truck.
All right.
The first one you see that runs over the guy.
The whole scene's great, and it's so funny. It's just stupid, dumb luck why Joe doesn't get killed, but it still all works out in his favor.
Well, they put him in like a Ford Pinto with a dildo, giant dildo on the hood of it.
Oh, I forgot about the dildo. I just remember seeing it go bling.
It just flaps.
And the look on Luke Wilson's face in every scene is like you have to like just pause on his face in every scene because he's like, "What the fuck?" It's every single scene his face does that, and it's perfect for the movie in those moments. But he ends up overcoming his obstacles in the Coliseum and fighting against the flamethrower dude, whatever his name is.
And what's his name? Fritz.
We're having a lot of what's his name.
I can't remember his name. What's the main guy that's from the future?
Joe.
No, he's from the past.
Oh,
Frito.
Okay.
He goes out with a camera.
Fritz. Hold on. Where the fuck did you get Fritz?
I don't know.
Dax Shepard, not Fritz. He goes out with a camera.
Dax Shepard.
Yes.
He goes out with a camera, but to film the crops to show them that hey, they're actually growing. However, he doesn't go to the crops. He gets to them, and there's a Starbucks. So he has to go to Starbucks.
And if you remember what we discussed about what Starbucks has become,
they wasn't getting coffee.
No, he's easily distracted. And finally, when they're leaving Starbucks after they've done this, and Rita's trying to get a hold of him like over and over, he mistakenly drops the camera in line with the crops and sees something sprouting and going, and that's what saves.
Yeah, that's what saves Joe, average Joe.
Average Joe. Jesus, this movie. Sorry, I just keep like So much fuckery in this movie. But anyways, I don't know. Just
So, and one thing we didn't talk about, and I only say this because after he is pardoned and whatnot, because the crops are growing. So, going through this film, Joe's thinking, well, this is the future. There has to be a time machine.
the time machine. I forgot about
And
this.
so, Frito was taking him to the time machine. And so at the end of the movie, he's like, well, I still got to get to the time machine. And they're like, oh, we can take you to the time machine, but that ride sucks. It's not a time. It's a amusement park ride called a time machine. But when he actually goes to the time machine and rides the ride, like it has. Get back to my notes. It has Nazi T-Rexes. It's like a history of the world.
Invisible Raptor.
There
All
is Nazi T-Rexes, and it's talking about World War II. So basically, they think that World War II they were fighting Nazi T-Rexes. Charlie Chaplin was Hitler in this brief history, and the world was saved by the UN.
The UN?
The UN. That's what they call them. The UN instead of
UN.
the
Yeah,
UN.
that was funny. That's right. I forgot about that. I find it funny and ironic too that Joe would go to a future with so many stupid people and believe that there was a time machine. That was the thing for me. Like as soon as they said it, I'm like, "There's no time machine." And then if that all made sense when that came full circle. And then it was funny too because so as the movie wraps up though, you basically Joe and Rita have saved the day. Joe becomes after President Camacho is done with his last term. Joe then becomes president, and guess who his VP is? None other than Fritz.
Frito.
I was just going to say Fritz because of you. Yeah, Frito.
I got his name now.
And
end of the episode. Frito.
and the best part is based on that family tree we talked about earlier. Frito and his wife have like 30 kids, and Joe and Rita have 2.
Yeah.
So once again, it's repeating. But at least they won't starve because they have crops now. So fuck you, Brondo.
Did you look at the budget for this?
No, I did not on this one. This is probably the only one out of the batch we're reviewing today that I did not.
I did. I have it right here. You want to take a guess?
Well, they had funding cut. We're in the early 2000s. Satire movie, mediocre cast. No offense.
For the time period, for sure. Yeah. It was very.
Actually, I love Luke. But anyways, I'm gonna go 7.5 mil.
It's way lower, 2.4 million.
Really? Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Which is actually pretty impressive because as low as that budget is, the set designs on this are incredible. So they put money in the right places for this movie.
Cool.
Box office.
They did really well with marketing on this, so I feel like
they did not.
They did not? I thought that marketing
the studio did not want to market it or release it in the theaters.
Because they're afraid of the... Yeah, I know. Okay, I thought that they did better. Because I remember seeing the trailer for this. That's the only thing.
And it was a very limited... I only released it to the theater because it was under contract with him, with Mike Judd.
4.5?
Way lower. It was a very limited
Break even?
release. Nope. 444,000.
That's opening weekend?
No, that's gross U.S. and Canada. Worldwide was 495,000.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
opening weekend was 124,000.
Where's that? The date? Like
I don't know what it. I don't know what it is.
I'm
today.
curious because
I would say DVD sales and stuff, rentals, everything else that had happened with this because this movie. It had to.
It's so relevant, especially when the last batch of when everyone's going through the pandemic into this presidency. There's been so many things that people were saying, "Idiocracy, idiocracy. It's coming life. It's real. It's real." So people probably watched it. I'm curious to know that. I don't know that number.
The studio wanted to bury this movie. They did not want a theatrical release. Once they saw the product placement, they're making fun of different companies, major companies, and. They did not want a theatrical release. They were going to ship this straight to video, DVD, and not release it in theaters. And so they were. Mike Judge had a contract with the studio that this had to release to theaters, and so they threw it in random theaters for like one or two for a couple, probably 2 or 3 weekends, and pulled it out.
I just tried to find numbers for current and nothing.
Yeah. So yeah, this movie did not make money theatrically.
Well, that sucks, but on the flip, though, it's definitely become a cult classic, I would feel, at least kind of borderline in there.
I think this movie probably would have did very well had they promoted it and released it, on a broader scale. Because, I mean, it is a cult classic at this point. People talk about this film, a lot.
Ratings.
So, this is the thing. Like I said at the beginning of this movie, I really enjoyed this movie the first time. Hated it the second time. This time, the movie's okay. It's not a bad movie. It's a fun movie. It's very relevant to today's world. Very fucking relevant.
Very sad that it is.
And actually, I wrote in my notes here. Movie is okay. It is relevant to how the world is going over the past 10 years with the internet dumbing down the youth, etc. It's very, very relevant to today's world, with whether you're talking about the political climate or just what I think of. Just we have access to all this information, and it's made a lot of us a lot dumber. For whatever reason, you would think we would be smarter. We have access to all this information, but we don't. That being said, the set designs are beautiful. It's a fun movie. I think I would recommend this movie. Say, hey, if you watch it at least once, but it's not ever going to be a go-to movie for me.
Yeah, no.
It kind of hits that middle ground for me. For a comedy, I'm sitting at about a 2.6 on it.
Okay, that's kind of low, but
it's not a movie that I ever think that I'm going to really revisit again, and that's why I give it a lower rating. But I'm giving it a lower rating with the recommendation of watching it.
All right, that's fair. For me, this movie was another one of those ones where it was a second time watch through. If it wasn't relevant to today's current climate, I would probably go much lower than this. But because of how relevant it is, the fact that the parts that are relevant are still comedic and well delivered, and it's got a lighthearted feel to it, combined with some of the sets, the story, the whole bit, I'm going to go a little bit higher than JP. I'm going to go 3.1 nerds out of this.
And I started to go a little closer to a 3. But at the end of the day, it's not a movie for me. But it is a movie for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. If nothing else, it should probably be shown in schools so that people can avoid becoming that stupid.
I mean, it could be a warning, just like the sex ed videos.
Yeah.
Same thing.
And maybe you'll have a lighthearted, fun conversation with your kids in class. But it's got to be high schoolers because, topics.
Words.
All right.
You got any film recommendations or show recommendations? I've got one.
Well, what do you got?
So I just rewatched it, and I fucking love this series. I watched it when it originally aired, and I decided to revisit it. And it's one of these that got canceled after Netflix canceled after one season, and it should have never got canceled. Daybreak.
That was good. I enjoyed that. That actually was good. I do know that movie.
That series was so fucking good, and it's a damn shame that we have a decade later and still only 3 or 4 seasons of Stranger Things after like a fucking decade. I would trade every season of Stranger Things for more seasons of Daybreak.
Now, to that point, I do want to touch on that for a second. So I know we're running towards the end of this episode, but god damn, am I fucking annoyed at that process. It used to be that every fall, like this is just us growing up talking about we're showing our age here, but every fall or even every spring and fall, you would get a new season of a show.
24 episodes.
Yeah, and now because of the digital aspect, because of the CGI aspect, because of all the stuff they do, and yeah, 24 episodes, but now we're getting maybe 6, maybe 8 episodes once every 2 years. By the time the next season comes out, I really could care less. I'm bored, and I don't want to have to go back and rewatch everything because you guys took 2 years to put it out. Figure your shit out.
I mean, look at Stranger Things. It's been, what, 4 years since the last season?
It's a little sooner than that, but it's still ridiculous.
I think it's maybe. I don't know.
I think we had two parts in 23, didn't that? Isn't that when Eddie came into fruition in the beginning of 23?
Maybe. I thought it was 21 or 22.
No, because it was post-pandemic. It was probably 22, 23.
Well, that's still post-pandemic.
21 was pre, but anyways.
I'm going to look this up later, and I'm going to find out. And I'm going to put a little bubble here to see where that last season landed.
I'm gonna give a recommendation, but it's a little unique for me because I normally wouldn't watch a show like this. I watched it with the hopes of thinking it was about a virus or a zombie thing because it was called The Madness. It's also on Netflix. It's got a guy from Fear the Walking Dead. I actually have his name written down somewhere else because he's in another movie.
Is it the guy that plays Morgan?
No, not Morgan. That's racist. It's the other black guy.
I like Morgan. Morgan's my favorite character.
Coleman Domingo is his name. I love Coleman Domingo. I think his acting is spectacular. He's got a perfect accent, very, very clearly spoken, great actor. He plays a father he's a CNN news anchor, and he's been framed for murder and multiple things that are happening that lead into conspiracy, terrorism, the whole bit. But there's a whole plot going into this that if you saw the Harrison Ford movie The Fugitive, which is based on the Sam Shepard murders loosely, you would probably love The Madness. It's a good little series to watch. It's only 8 episodes.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't watched that one. So,
all right. Well, that's all we got for today. CineNerdsPodcast.com. Check that out, and we'll see you next Thursday. Excuse me.
Later.
Peace.